Let's talk about some products that are going to be coming soon to Rasco Garage that are currently in development in the prototype stage. What I have in front of me here is an equal length header solution that we've been developing here at Rasco Garage. This is going to be the actual final version. This prototype has gone through rigorous testing. It's been on the track. It's been daily driven, and it checks all the boxes in terms of the design elements that we set out to achieve for this particular solution. So it also utilizes a very similar adapter setup that we use to adapt our E36 flagship exhaust system, whether it be a 2.5 inch or the 3-inch setup. So this bolts directly to that. So how we set out to design this product is, over the years, even before I was fabricating, I've gone through a couple different header setups. I've gone through a couple different exhaust systems. I've had the Super Sprint Euro race setup. And if you guys are familiar with that setup, it requires long tube headers, right? The Euro spec or Euro style type of header. So I ran those. I ran some other shorty headers on the vehicle. And one thing that I always ran into was installation. Now I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I want to try to install stuff on my own. You know, some of you folks will take it to a shop and get it done professionally, which is probably always the recommended thing to do. However, one thing I always ran into was installation. It was always such a pain to install exhaust manifolds. The OEM ones are a different story. The OEM ones are really easy to install because there's a ton of room and they're a log style, very small unit. But any kind of aftermarket system, even if it's like a long tube header, is such a pain. Not all of them will go in with the studs in place. Sometimes you have to back studs out and then put the studs in. You have no room to work. You have to disconnect the control arm. You have to move the suspension cross brace. You know, it could be a very lengthy process to get these things removed. So with that in mind, when we set out to design this, we wanted to make sure the installation process was going to be as straightforward as possible. So we made these in a shorty design, and these are equal length headers. We use 1.75" primaries that will go to a 3-to-1 collector. The collector angle that they meet at is at a 12-degree angle, which is near optimum. I think 11.5 degrees is the most optimum collector angle. We just did 12 to round the number up, so it's only half a degree. And then we have these dump out to a 2.5-inch V-band. So, and then we've developed these flanges in-house. These are 3/8 of an inch, 304 stainless. These are custom designed in-house. We have the flange bolt holes slightly larger than OEM, so it gives you a little bit of freedom to get them onto the studs and get it fit up in the vehicle. There is absolutely no leaks, anything like that. Like I said, this is prototype version number 3, so it's gone through quite a bit of testing. And this version has been absolutely outstanding. And we utilize the same OEM O2 sensor locations. We put them on the adapter portion and not on the upper header portion of the exhaust. And we've had no check engine lights. Fuel mix and fuel ratios have been spot on. It doesn't run rich or lean. The O2 sensors are getting the information accurately as they need. So going back to the design aspect of it, or ease of install, my goal was to set out to where you can install these and not have to mess with the exhaust manifold studs. So meaning that there's enough room to get these in and on the studs without having to back anything out, without having to cram it and force it in there. These things slip right on the studs. You can bolt it right up. I think you can reach about 75% of the bolts with a wobble socket or with a socket extension. So then there's about 6 to 8 bolt bolt locations that you'll have to use a smaller socket or just a wrench, but you can usually get more than just like, you know, a quarter turn. There's one on the rear. I will say it's in this location here. There's one bolt there on the rear where that's the most tedious one to get to, which in my opinion, if there's only one bolt that's tedious on a whole header installation, if anybody out there's ever installed headers, you know, you're under the car, you're in a weird position just doing a half turn. So we really try to focus on the design aspect of it to make it very, very easy to install. So then taking it a step further, utilizing the 1 3/4 primaries, it allows us to get a tremendous amount of top end power. This thing in the upper RPM range makes noises that are unbelievable in this vehicle. I will venture to say this is the best sounding exhaust manifold setup, paired with even the 2.5 inch or the 3 inch design that we have. It's absolutely unbelievable. We have some videos of it that have the 3 inch setup running these prototype headers, and it sounds absolutely unbelievable. Whether you're on board in the car or do we have some flyby videos and some burnouts, and we have some onboards with the external microphone. It sounds unbelievable, but having it in person is just, it's outstanding. So utilizing the V-band design. So they are a long tube setup. So making these headers kind of in a shorty design makes the ease of installation just that much simpler. So now utilizing the V-band, so now there's no gaskets at all across your entire system, right? So when you mate this to the rear section or the full rear section of the exhaust, when you mate it to the collector, you can snug the V-bands up. There's a little bit of articulation there. You can flex it. We have the flex bellows for a little bit more articulation. So it just makes meeting the two systems together so simple. And then you could just snug up the V-bands and that's it. It's done. And like I said, the way we've designed our entire system, there's a lot of articulation in the system. So utilizing these flex bellows in the rear axle back and in these adapter locations just makes the install that much easier for the user. So if you wanted to do it at home or even have your shop do it, it's going to make it easier on everybody to install this system. So this is the product I'm probably the most excited about that's been in development, and we're looking to get this available to customers hopefully by the end of summer 2025. So keep tabs on our website. We'll make some more content surrounding these and when we make them available on the website, but keep your eye out for these because this is going to be the best header setup for the E36 available on the market. Coming soon.